I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
So this is my family search. I have logged on. So if any of you are not, I imagine you're all familiar with logging into family search. And you come up to the indexing tab up here and click on it. And you see where it says web indexing. That's where you want to go. And this will bring you into your screen. And all you have to do is click on Find Batches. And over on the right here, or I'm sorry, on the left. My right is my left sometimes. You have filters. Now I have indexing and review because I do both reviewing and indexing. Reviewing is when somebody goes and looks at something that somebody has already indexed just to check it to make sure it was done correctly. And down here, you have difficulty level. You can click on any one of these. And if you prefer, I don't usually click on any of them. I just let them all come up. And then here you can choose a language. So you can see there's a lot of different languages. But I only speak English, so I prefer to keep them in the English. And then over here, it tells you there's 69 batches, or 69 different kinds of records that are available in English right now. Well, as you can see, the naturalizations, passenger and crew lists, burial permits, military records, death certificates, alien arrivals. I always just get a kick out of that one. That doesn't mean people from Mars. It's just people who are not citizens of the United States.
I'm sorry, I was signing in. Where do you go after you click on indexing?
Okay. You click on indexing and then do web indexing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Then you click on Find Batches. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of, even an airplane passenger and crew list. That's kind of an interesting one. Search records.
Who's that?
What? Oh, not a comment. Okay. We're going to look at one of these in a minute. I'm just kind of showing you all the different
Who's
that are available.
What do the percentages mean?
This is how much of it is done.
Oh, okay.
So you see here the index is grayed out. This one's almost completed. The only thing left to do is do some reviewing on that one. So this just gives you an idea of which ones people are working on and which ones are just fairly new. Here's a new one here. And anyway, let's go ahead and look at, I like that. Where did that go? Just gonna look at those death records. And now I've lost them. These land grant records are, we'll look at those in a minute, but those are some my son does a lot when he's in a contest and wants to get a lot of names quickly. Because they only require a couple of fields, but all right, I'm gonna start over and see if I can find those death records. They're usually pretty good ones. There you go. So I'm going to look at, we're going to go ahead and click on index. It gives you a little something to read up front.
Do we pick the same one that you did, or any of them that come up?
Why don't you just watch me for a minute?
Oh, okay.
And then, so I'll give you an idea of what
Perfect.
to do. Usually when you open a new project, you get this project instructions.
Okay.
And if I close that, you can always get it back over here on the left where it says project instructions.
Oh, okay, great.
And this tells you what to index. And it tells you if there's an image that does not show a death record, mark it as no extractable data. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. Then it gives you an example, and you can click on it, and it opens another page. It gives you a death record. Off to the right, it tells you number 1 is the certificate, 2 is the death place, 3 is the deceased given name. So it kind of walks you through the record if you want. And then it gives you different examples of different kinds of death records. Then you do what to remember about this project. Not every field is available. I'm not going to read through all this, but this is something you want to do when you start a new record that you're not familiar with. Go through and read all these instructions. Tells you how to do the names. Tells you about special characters. Now, when you're doing in English, you usually don't have to worry about special characters. Handwriting help icon, that's this one right up here. If you click on it, it gives you different ways people wrote in cursive. It's not every way, but gives you about 4 different ways on each letter. And we'll talk about this number of entries per image in a minute also. Sometimes records span 2 images, but not very often. So those are just some general guidelines to look at. So in this case, it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 10 death records in this batch. And there's his name. So this is we would say yes here, that this is an index or an image that should be indexed. If it wasn't, you'd click down here, and this is where you would say no, it's either a duplicate image of one I've already seen, or there's no extractable data. So whenever you go through a batch, you have to do this first for every image. Go through, look at it and say yes. Just going to hurry through all these. So once you've done that, then it comes up, goes all the way back to the first image. These are the fields that they're going to ask you to enter. There's quite a few on this death record. I don't know why this has really become touchy. I don't know why. Okay. Now, I can't read that. That is 11. I'm going to go to the next one here. 11,550, 11,551. So I'm going to say that's 11,549. I don't know if you saw how looks like they're all in order. And even though I can't read that. And this thing, there's a question mark over every field. If you click on it, it says the certificate number is generally printed on the top right corner of the document. And if there's no number, let's see. the document was not numbered, you press Control B, and Control B puts the word blank in there. We have a number, 11,450,549. Then the death place is, who can read that? Something Falls, Minnesota. Anybody got a guess on what that first word is? How about Fergus Falls? You can go, so you can go to the next. So one thing you can do is you can bounce around all these. And I'll say that probably says Fergus Falls. And why isn't that typing? Now, let's look at these instructions. I should have done that first. It says, type the name of the death place as it was written. Separating levels of locality, smallest, largest with a comma. So do not correct misspellings or expand abbreviations. So sometimes people will see MN and want to type it all the way out. But in this case, you don't do that. And it tells me to put a comma after that. Then you go to the next field, which is given name. Looks like that's Neil's. And to me, that looks like his last name is Berge. And I'm scrolling this in and out with my mouse wheel. So you can, and then you just click on it and you can move it around. And a suffix would be like, it tells you if you ever wonder what it is, junior or the third or things like that. Oh, I should look to see if it was required. Okay, we have to do Control B in this one too. So I do Control B, and that just makes that blank. Then we look for the date of death. Right there, date of death. It says death month is October. Death day 26, 1937. And look to see, it says right there that he was male. Now, one thing, you always want to read these instructions. Some people guess that they're male or female by the name, but don't ever do that. Always make sure there's some place where it says what he was. Sometimes it'll say he was the son of or something, then you can determine that he was male. But if there isn't something that specifically says what they were, then you don't record whether they're male or female. It says right there, do not assume the sex of a person based on given names. So that's why when you're unfamiliar with one, you want to click on this question mark on every field to give you the specific instructions for that field. And just need an M apparently. Okay, birth year. I saw the birth right there. Birth year is 1855. He was 82 years old when he died. Birthplace. This is the first time for me in this one too, so I'm still looking. There we go. Birthplace says Norway. And father's given name. Right there it says father. Why? I have a hard time with cursive. Anybody want to help me out? Does it say Hammond? I can always go up to the cursive thing and see this thing. Doesn't look like any A's in there. Maybe it's an O.
Looks like a C.
C? Oh yeah. That
C or an O. Is it Osmond?
Osmond. That's a good one. I like that. And you don't have to worry about, I mean, do the best you can. Because somebody's going to go through this and look at this and check it. And they'll see what you put and they'll look at it and see if they feel like it's something else or they'll take care of it. They'll just leave it depending on, usually, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. And suffix, and see a suffix, so we'll do another Control V. Mother's prefix. The reason they have a prefix for mother and not father is because sometimes it's like for her name is, it shows her last name is Burge. It's not given her maiden name. Brita Burge. So sometimes it would say like Mrs., but in this case it doesn't. We'll Control B that. That looks like Brita to me. And Burge again. Oh, I did that backwards. I didn't know. I thought I put a blank in there. A. And you notice this Burge came up down here because I've already typed it once. All I would have had to do is hit the B and then hit enter and it just fills it in if that's the one I wanted. And again, no suffix. Spouse. Is there a place for a spouse? Back out here a little bit. Not seeing any spouses information. So we'll do a Control blank, Control blank, Control blank, Control blank. Okay, now, in this case, if there happen to be two records on one page, two death records here instead of just the one, you would hit the create entry 2, and then it would bring up another screen just like this, and then you'd fill that out for the other information on the same page. This one you don't need to, so you just go to next image. That takes us to one that's a lot easier to read. So I'm not going to go through all these. We'll just do that one. Anybody have any questions on, if you have a wonder what something is, just click the question mark. It tells you what information you need to put for that one. When you get through all 10, then the last thing down here will be submit entry. You click on submit and then it'll submit it to the system. Now for right now, I'm just going to do this return. And what that does is, you can see this here, that's put it in I have an open batch now. So if you're working on one and you don't have time to finish it, just click the arrow back and it'll put it into here. And it tells you need to finish it by April 24th. Or it'll go back into the system and somebody else will work on it. So next time I come in here, I can do open batch and it'll open this one right where I left off. Now the ones I was going to show you are these New York land grant records. I guess you're all aware of the contest the state is supposed to have with you guys.
We've heard about it, but I don't really know. Maybe someone else does, but I don't really know what the what it is, like what the details are of it.
Yeah, apparently they had that fireside a few weeks ago. I wasn't involved in it. I didn't know anything about it till after the fact, but apparently they challenged each ward to do indexing to see who could do the most for the month. And so you see this New York index to land grants. This is the one my son comes to when he wants to do lots of names. Really quick. Now this one doesn't have a whole bunch on here. But these are really easy. You only see one image, but you're actually going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 10 records. Just like that last one we were on, it had 10 records. You'll put all that information in 10 times to get 10 records, but on this one, all it's asking for is the grantor. Here's the grantor, here's the grantee. So the grantor's given name is John, right there. Surname is Lennox. It's not a corporation. If there was a corporation, it would have a corporation's name there. Then the grantee's given name is Bridget, and the surname is Ratigiau, and the year 1876. It's not even, there's not a month, there's not a day. The book or volume number is 456. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Let's look at it just for sure. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It tells me right there, Lieber. So Lieber right there, that's the book or volume number is 150. And then the page is 77. So for that record, all you have to do is type his name, her name, the date, the Lieber, and the page. And then you go on to the next one. Now, see, this only has one record, but you're gonna put all these in there. So this is where you would say create entry 2. And that gives you another one. You go through and do the same thing for this next line, which is Alexander. And what they're doing is they're putting their name, first name in these group of letters. So if it's an A through E, it's going to be here. It's F through J, it's John. So Alexander, Lemon. Here you have, I don't know why that says infant. Margaret Lemon, Andrew James. Okay, so this is interesting because this has 2 grantors. So you do a record for each one. You do one for Andrew. There's 3 grantors, sorry. What are they doing here? That one, I'm not sure what's going on. Andrew James, Margaret, and Thomas H. Oh, sorry. I got lost. Lemon is their last name. So there's actually 4 grantors, 5 grantors. This hippie, I don't know what that name is. And each one of them were grantors to Rome Waterton. Okay, so there's 2 grantees there too. Wow, this one gets a little complicated. But the ORR company, so that would go under the grantee corporation. An OOR company is a corporation, not a name. So instead of putting a name here, you'd put that. So Rome Water.
So you would fill out a separate entry for each of those 4 names. Is that correct?
Right, you would. And it had the same, these 2 numbers would be the same for all 4. This one goes to 84 because it goes down the line. So in this record, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And there's another page of them over here. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So this would give you 30 records, and you could probably do it in about 15 minutes. Because it doesn't take as much, you don't have as many things to fill out. So that's one thing. These index of deeds usually have 2 pages like this. And usually when I've seen them, the whole page is filled up. So you can easily get 50 or 60 of these off of here in a short period of time. So that's why you'd want to do these over the death record, even though sometimes the death records are easier to read, like we saw in that second one, but you have to do a lot more typing to get one record. So does that make sense? If you're in contest mode, you want to do a whole bunch of names in a short period of time. If you're just feeling good about indexing, you can do any one you want to do. Any questions? Oh, on this one, I haven't done anything. Well, I did add a entry. So now I've got this entry here. If you want to get rid of it, you go up to the trash can and you say the current entry and delete it. That takes us back to the way this was originally. Because sometimes they'll give you 10 entries and you don't need all 10. You only need 3 or 4. So you have to delete all the blank ones. That doesn't happen too often, but just so you know how to add and take away entries. So this one I didn't do anything with, so I'm going to just say return the batch. Now this is what you can do if you open a batch and you look at it and say, oh, there's no way I want to do this one. I can't read it. I can't figure it out. Just return the batch. And it's like nothing ever happened. That's not a problem. Somebody else will pick it up. So there we are with the one I started. I'll come back and finish this one later. And then say there's just, if you only want to try beginner ones, just click on that one. You'll see there's 12 of those. And most of them are well underway because most people like to do the beginner ones. A lot left to do there.
Brother Hepworth, you said that after we do these and finish them, someone always reviews them
Correct.
after us, right?
Correct.
Okay.
See, like on here, after you've done 1,000 records, they'll let you be a reviewer. So I have those permissions. I can click on the review this one, and I didn't even look to see what kind of record I got into. Citizens. So I'll say next. Oh, I forget. As a reviewer, I'm supposed to, well, no, I'm not going to do anything. So this shows me what somebody's already done. The arrival year is 1932 is what they got at the top of the page. And it just goes through these names. DeFeo, May. So I just, as I go through this, I'll make sure they did everything where they should have. And there's not a lot of information you need to put on this one either. Birthplace, age, sex, nationality, and birth year. And then I'll click this verified every field. And then I just go to the next one. You review records a lot faster than you index because you don't have to type the information in. It's already there. Somebody else has done this, and I just go through and look at it. And looks like there's 11 on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So there's somebody got, that's a good one to do. What was that? Did anybody pay attention when I clicked on it? Passenger list, I think. Arriving at the port of Los Angeles. So this looks like it was a passenger list. Yeah, sailing from the name of the ship, sailing from New York to Los Angeles. So there's another one that'll give you a lot of records quickly. That'd be a good one for competition too. I'm just going to return this one. I didn't do anything on that. So, any questions? Does that make sense? I bore you all to death?
I've done indexing before, but I thought that was really helpful to get those reminders. It's kind of like detective work.
Yeah. And I've done some where you have to put the city and the county and the state, and sometimes they're hard to read. And what I'll do is I'll have another screen where I Google, the counties in New York City. And I'll have a list of the counties there. And so if there's one that's hard to read, I'll go look through it and see if I can figure out which one it is and things like that. So I use the internet to research some of the things I'm finding on the screens too. But those little question marks on each field, they're very important because they're not consistent. Some batches want you to, if you know what the abbreviation stands for, they want you to spell it all out. Other times they want you to do it just as it's written. So it's good when you're not familiar with the batch to read it first. All righty. I'll go ahead and stop sharing if no more questions.